Okay, round 2. Again, going to explain the medical tape. I had cataract surgery yesterday. So I have to keep the shield on, which is underneath my glasses, per the doctor, for at least a week. Although my eye is finally, the dilation is finally gone, which has been really weird. These are going to be short for a couple of days because I'm not allowed to read. He gave me permission to do this, but I'm not allowed to read. So I said 3 to 5 minutes max, which means I'm going to read it once, give you my thoughts, and then go. It is very tiring to read. Okay. That's you may not be able to see, but that's why I have one of my eyes closed. So it is July 21st. The title is The Self That Forgives. Our first quote is, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and will heal their land." And that is 2 Chronicles 7:14. The second quote is, "As we listen deeply to that within us which is divine, we shall find that our accusations against others simply slip away, and something seems to say to us, 'Neither do I condemn thee.'" And that is Journey into Life, page 31. All right. What wonderful freedom is ours to enjoy when we realize that God holds nothing against us, no matter how many mistakes we believe we have made. Because this is so, we are free to release all feelings of guilt and all fear of punishment. When we hold on to guilt and self-recrimination over past mistakes, we are blocking the flow of God's healing love through us. And when this flow is blocked, we may react by feeling alone and abandoned, becoming even more miserable than before. We may even think that God doesn't care what happens to us. If we have allowed such feelings to restrict the free expression of life through us, we must correct the condition immediately. This can be accomplished by finding a quiet place where we speak to God within ourselves. We may speak to God just as we would confide in a trusted friend or advisor. After we have acknowledged our innermost feelings, we then spend time in deep solitude of the inner self until we hear the still small voice which assures us that all is well. Joyously, I know that God in me desires to express in my world of affairs as healing love, harmony, joy, peace, wisdom, and prosperity. I give thanks that in this moment I am healed and forgiven of all past mistakes, and they are remembered no more. Okay, so that is MD. We'll find out who MD is. Okay, MD. Mary Donnelson. Okay. All right. So she said some pretty important things in here. The first one being that God holds nothing against us. That's super important to remember. And the way Jesse explains it, Reverend Jesse explains it, is that for judgment to happen, you have to have something outside to compare it against. And since God is one whole complete system, everything is in God, there's nothing outside, including us, from God, so that therefore God cannot judge. We judge based on an illusion. The illusion is not true. We are not separate from God. So God doesn't see the separation. We see the illusion of separation. So no matter how many mistakes we think we've made, God is not going to judge us on those mistakes. Which then she follows up by by saying, so we are free to release all the feelings of guilt and all fear of punishment. Guilt is an emotion that does no good to anybody. It does not. It is probably one of the more poisonous emotions, especially when we feel guilty over things that we shouldn't, that we have no reason to feel guilty over. And I can tell you as a woman, there are a whole lot of things that society, religion, and culture wants to make me feel guilty for, which have nothing to do with me. So, that's why I say it can be a very poisonous emotion. The thing about guilt is when you feel it, if it is something that you have done, you want to immediately make amends. You want to fix that so that you can let the guilt go. Because if you hang on to the guilt, it doesn't serve you or the party that you may have harmed, which is why you feel guilty. And as we have said, when we do wrong, we are punished by we're punished by our own mistakes. God is not going to punish us. Our own actions will do that. So what she says is when we hold on to guilt and recrimination over past mistakes, we are blocking the flow of God's healing love through us. Not just the love that we are, the love of God that we ourselves need, but the love of God that we can provide to others. The love of God that comes through us. The cat fell off the stool and I think he's confused. Okay. So we are blocking that's one of the reasons why I say the guilt can be very poisonous, because it blocks that flow of love. I'm not saying that guilt is not an emotion that we have no reason to have. But when we have it, we need to fix it. We either need to own it and fix it, or realize that it has nothing to do with us and let it go. Because it does block that healing love, both to us and through us. And that's the important thing. We are channels of God's love in this world. And then when that flow is blocked, we may react by feeling alone and abandoned, becoming even more miserable than before. And that's why I say that guilt can be a poisonous emotion. We may even think that God doesn't care what happens to us. We know that's not true. But we also recognize God as a patterning intelligence, not as a personality. So we want to be careful when assigning emotions. So if we allowed such feelings to restrict the free expression of life through us, we must correct that condition immediately. And then she proceeds to tell you how. Treatment and meditation. You go talk to God. That's what we call treatment. If you pray, or you do affirmative prayer, or you do affirmations, or you do any of that falls in the line of treatment and meditation or prayer, that is talking to God. And meditation is when we listen. And it's super important that after we have done a treatment, to do a little meditation within a reasonable amount of time, to make sure that we give God a chance to talk back. And when you do meditations, your answers might come during the meditation, or what it will do is open you up to when the answer does come to you in another way. So be very aware that it's important to follow up treatment with a little bit of meditation to make sure that you give yourself a chance to listen. All right. And I like that she says we may speak to God just as we would confide in a trusted friend or advisor. That is one of the most grateful things that I've always had about my relationship with God, is I've always just talked to God as if God were in the room with me. I'll just have a one-sided conversation with God and listen for the other side of the conversation. It's really interesting. And it is it's not one that I tend to share. I talk to God all the time. And God talks back, because then people think I'm crazy. Well, they're right. I am. And it's okay, because I'm my kind of crazy, and I'm a healthy kind of crazy. And there is such a thing. Talk to any mystic. There's a healthy kind of crazy. So If I were to give you a mission today, the mission today, should we choose to accept it, it's to correct those feelings of guilt immediately. To take the steps that we need to take to correct those feelings of guilt. If we have in any way harmed another and we feel guilty about that, then then it behooves us to make amends. I'm not saying necessarily ask for forgiveness, but make amends, make the situation right. And if we are feeling guilty over something that has nothing to do with us, ask any woman, especially if you're a little bit bigger than what everybody thinks you should be. We're frequently, they try and make us feel guilty about it. And, I'm not taking it. Then you are blocking that free expression of God through you. You are blocking God's healing love through you. Let it go. Correct that condition immediately. That's the mission. That is the mission. Be healthy. Be healthy. Be healthy kind of crazy. It's very useful. When people see my healthy kind of crazy, the ones who would try and make me feel guilt and shame are generally kind of put off and don't know how to handle me, and they go away faster. So, all right. And right now the medical tape might drive them off too. In a couple of years, I'm going to go back and watch these videos as I go, what was I thinking? But I am improving by leaps and bounds. So this is where we are. All right. So that's the mission. I'm not going to go back through it in the interest of, I don't want to overdo my eye. And I'm also going to keep it kind of short because this apparently may also strain my eyes. So, I do have the phone at computer distance though. So not phone distance, because that's what he said. Don't be on your phone. And I was like, okay, but it's here. And he's like, okay. So all the things that I normally say, about the loving, kind, compassion, the bright light, drink plenty of water, open the windows of your soul, that you are a beloved child of God. Catch us on the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I am the running Rev Ryan, because we are there. And there goes my text messages. Yay! I really have been trying to stay off my phone though. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will be back on schedule around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Probably still rocking the medical tape. But it is what it is, right? All right, beloveds, know that you are loved. And I should see you in the morning. And then Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. So I won't bracket him like this again. So, every now and again I'll skip a day, but I try not to. This time I literally had to. All right, beloveds. Take care of yourself and know that you're loved. I'll see you next time.